The new Honda City, it's finally here. In fact, we were going to drive this car back in March. I'd actually driven down to Goa for the first drives, and then the lockdown hit and all of Honda's well laid out plans were put on hold for 4 months. Now we finally got our hands on the City. On my extreme right, we have the diesel. Here is the petrol, the VTEC with the CVT, and this is the spec that I'm really looking forward to driving. The new Honda City, 119 bhp VTEC engine, a new 6-speed manual gearbox. This should be a fun test. The new City is handsome and unmistakable. Check out that slab of chrome that runs across the full width of the nose. The headlamps are full LEDs on the top end variant, and the darkened out tail lamps do have a distinct LED pattern that you will not mistake for any other car on the road. Also, don't miss that integrated boot lid spoiler. The City runs on 16-inch diamond cut aluminum wheels that look appropriately blingy, while the sharply pinched character line running across the length of the car runs a sense of engineered precision to the profile. So before we get going, let's talk about the interiors. Now the cabin has been redesigned, the dash is new and it looks more contemporary. It gets this large touchscreen which actually works well. It's got connected car features on it, CarPlay, Android Auto, all the connectivity that you would want. My only real problem is that the screen seems to be tilted ever so slightly towards the passenger and not towards the driver, which I find little awkward, but it's something that you will get used to. It gets a sunroof. The seats are nice and wide, very comfortable. They feel the most premium in this category. The steering wheel design is new. It feels nice to hold. The dials, they are digital now, and you also have a rev counter out there, or if you want, you get your fuel efficiency readouts, everything. You get climate control, 2 USBs, a power outlet, lots of space, lots of cubby holes, big pockets in the door. This is a spacious and very airy cabin, also great visibility. So the driving environment is top notch, I have to say that. One of the key strengths of the Honda City has been its spaciousness, and that does not change with this 5th generation car. Now the platform is more or less the same and the wheelbase is the same. So that means the space inside the car is more or less unchanged, but you have an ample amount of space. So the front seat, the driver's seat, is adjusted to the driving position that I like, and despite that, there is almost 3-4 inches of free knee room. The headroom is not that much, not abundant, but you're never going to touch your head on the roof. It is enough. The shoulder width also is more than the other rivals in this class. So overall, if you're looking for a car to be driven around in this segment, the City is still the best. It's also comfortable. The seats are nice. They're comfortable. The seat back angle is perfect. It feels plush. It feels nice and high quality. So if you're going to be sitting in the back, I think you should look at this. And also it gets nifty features. So you got a pocket to put your mobile phone. The sunroof is only there for the front guys. It's not a panoramic sunroof, but you get 2 power outlets, no USBs at the back and no separate climate control zone, but you have these vents. And yep, that's about it. This is comfortable, I'll tell you that much. To term this new City hotly anticipated would be to do the car a big disservice. The excitement around the new City, the excitement around every new generation of the City is through the roof, and rightfully so, because this is a very important car. This is the longest running nameplate in the C segment. In fact, apart from the Alto and maybe the 800 is not there. So I think this would be like the 2nd oldest nameplate in the country. The City was the car that Honda started off their Indian innings with, and it continues to be their bread butter. It is a very important car. I know I'm saying important over and over again, but come on, a new City, everybody is going to be excited by it. And a new City means a new VTEC engine. It revs and revs. It's such a joy. Now we've been so used to turbo engines and their effortless torque that we've forgotten what a naturally aspirated engine, a sweet spinning naturally aspirated engine, can do to the sides of the smile on your face. I love VTEC engines. I love their free revving nature, the ease with which it builds up speed. It's all brilliant. And of course, all VTEC engines, all Hondas are made into sweet shifting gearboxes. I'd forgotten how much fun heel and toeing was. This city, it reminds you of all of that. Now this is not a new engine. It's the same VTEC engine, but it gets 2 horsepower more. So it's 119.3 bhp now, which hasn't really gone up that much, but because it hasn't put on much weight, the city still feels light on its feet. Will it be quicker than the Vento and the Rapid with their TSI engines? I don't think so, but it does feel like it's an enthusiastic motor, and it does put a smile on your face. You do enjoy caning this engine. If you're a driving enthusiast, there is no way you'll be disappointed with an engine like this. An engine that loves to rev so freely and enthusiastically. Now compared to a turbo engine, obviously the performance is not as relaxed or effortless. You do have to cane the engine to get it to get moving, whereas a turbo engine, if you're just above 2,500 RPM, you can really just keep pottering away. On the expressway, you put it into 6th gear, a turbo engine, and that's all the gears that you would need. Here, you have to shift gears to keep it in the power band. But on the other side, there is no taking away from the refinement of a 4-cylinder engine, especially a Honda 4-cylinder engine. Now I'm doing 60 kilometers per hour, 4th gear, just above 2000 RPM, and you cannot feel the engine. You can hear a fair bit of road noise, and that's the thing with all Hondas, because the engine is always so refined. They don't really put too much of sound insulation on the body. So you can hear the road, but the engine, you cannot hear it, you cannot feel it. It is working silently in the background. The refinement is next level. You compare it to anything else in this class, and this refinement is out of this world. The gearbox, it shifts so smoothly, so slick. It's basically you use this gearbox with your fingertips. Takes zero effort out of you. To me, the Honda City is all about the driving, all about the VTEC engine. But nowadays, to a lot of people, the City is about its comfort, is about its space. And on that front, Honda hasn't messed with the formula. There is still a lot of space inside the cabin. This cabin is well designed. It's got a sunroof, let in more light and air into the cabin. The seats are wide, they're comfortable. This feels like a premium, high quality cabin. There's a lot of space at the back too. So driver, passengers, all will be happy. This is comfortable for 5, and that's more that can be said for the rest of the competitors in this class. Ride quality also actually pretty good, so it can go over speed breakers really well. At low speeds, you do feel the ripples in the road, but as you build up speed, you hit a bad patch of road, and the City, it actually takes it very well. On the dynamic front, the steering is a bit too light and lifeless, but again, that's something that you have come to expect with all the electric power steering setups. Overall, compared to its class rivals, it's more or less on par. What is it that we used to say when we were kids driving the City? VTEC kicked in, yo! Now this is the CVT mated on the same 1.5 i-VTEC engine, and at a gentle cruise, it is again very refined, really lovely, effortless. But when you step on it, that CVT effect is obvious. Now obviously they have tried to reduce it and to stimulate the shifts of a regular automatic, so the revs do rise and fall when you're upshifting, but it's not like a normal automatic gearbox. If you're an enthusiast, this is not the gearbox that you should be opting for. You should be opting for that lovely, sweet 6-speed manual. But if you want convenience, for sure, look at the automatic. It's also got paddles behind the wheel, which again simulates the effects of a regular automatic gearbox. So see that you do get that slight rubber band effect. I have to tell you that it is far better than old CVT gearboxes. It is in fact all but negligible, that rubber band effect. But if you're looking for it, if you go hunting for it, you will find it. I don't know why, but in the regular manual, the engine felt more refined. Here it seems a little bit more noisy than in the other car. I don't know why that should be. Maybe that's because the engine is working a little harder to compensate for the gearbox. But here it is a little bit louder than it was on the manual. You also get a sport mode which holds on to gears for longer, obviously the virtual gears on the CVT. And you get an eco mode. So if you want the engine to give you more fuel efficiency, the eco mode is there. So sport mode and eco mode on the CVT. And you get the ESP. Now, as much as I'm a fan of Honda's i-VTEC petrol engines, their iDTEC diesel engines don't really work for me. I have to admit that the refinement has become far better. So this 1.5 engine on the City, it is far more silent and far more refined than in the past. You can't feel the vibrations. It's actually pretty good, but it is audible, especially if you rev it, you can hear the engine. So I'll let you hear the engine. On its own, it's actually not that noisy at all. It's actually very refined. But your benchmark is the i-VTEC petrol, which is noiseless, absolutely noiseless. And that's why you start complaining about the diesel. But on its own, and actually compared to the other cars in this class, other diesels in this class, this is very refined, I must admit. One thing this engine is not is enthusiastic. You rev it and above 3.8 it runs out of juice. The rev limiter is around 4.1, 4.2, and there really is no point caning this engine. Just keep it around 2.5, between 2.5 and 3.5, and that's where it does its best work. This is not an engine that you will get, nor will you cane to get enthusiastic performance. This engine, it makes 98.6 bhp, so it's not all that powerful, and this is not an engine that you would opt for if you want enthusiastic performance from your City. For that, obviously stick to the i-VTEC with the manual gearbox. But if you want an effortless performer, this engine really does the job. And the fuel efficiency, 24.1 kmpl on the ARI cycle, is pretty impressive. The diesel, it only gets a manual gearbox, the 6-speed manual, but no automatic, no CVT, nothing on the diesel, only a manual gearbox. Honda is calling this the 5th generation City, but truth be told, it doesn't feel all that different from the earlier City. Okay, to look at it is completely different, and especially the nose with all the blingy chrome and the LED lights, it does look very different, and it looks nice also. But in the driving experience, not much really has changed. The platform is the same, the wheelbase is the same, the tire sizes are the same, the dimensions are the same, and the driving experience also remains the same. Throw it on the corner and it still is a little bit too understeery. The tires are slightly narrower than the tires that you would find on its rivals in this class, and that means understeer does set in early. It is stable, it is confidence inspiring, that is for sure. The brakes, they are slightly on the softer side in terms of the feel. Obviously braking distances are good, it also gets ESP, but the feel is a little soft, and that is something that you will take a little time getting used to, but it works well. Overall, if you're looking for the spiritual successor of that original City VTEC, the very first VTEC that came to the country, that made enthusiasts and fanboys out of all of us, I don't think this is the car. But this is the car that does everything that buyers in this segment want. Space, comfort, refinement, good plush interiors. All that is left to find out is the price. If Honda can price this right, well, the City will continue to be their bread and butter and will continue to bring them laurels. Subscribe to the Evo India channel and hit the bell icon to keep pace with the thrill of driving.